let's actually turn back the clock for a second and look back at Colorado.
Sure. And then we'll go back to the future.
And then and then we'll talk about the future head coach in Columbus. The Colorado Avalanche lose in 6. And I saw everyone going on about how great this series was. I did not like the way Colorado played at all after game 1.
No.
I thought even when they won game 2 in overtime, I thought, man, this is not. If they don't pick it up, Vegas are going to have this series, and they did. But the big question is now, and we can laugh at the Adrian Dater stuff because that might be the worst question I've ever seen asked in media, and how he probably should just worn it on the chin instead of making. Imagine trying to have a ripoff against Pete Blackburn. You're not going to win that.
Yeah, I don't know. I just before we get to Colorado, I didn't understand if you say a bad question, I just leave it and move on. This is what they. I'm not gonna get into Twitter wars with anybody.
Yeah, I mean that's
it just made it worse. Just I don't know. That's how things become viral. You know what I mean? Or this is how the memes start.
So for those of you who don't know, after the Avs were eliminated, Nathan MacKinnon was being interviewed, doing his media and all that. I think it was the second last question was from Adrian Dater. This is the same guy I remember seeing reports that he thought the Avs were interested in Thomas Tatar at the deadline last year. And then it was going to be Graves. Yeah, and they were interested in Petrie as well, all that stuff, remember? When Bergevin had no intention of trading anyone.
And he was in Colorado, right? Was it him or was it Scott
it was him and Scott Mellanby. But his daughter goes to school there. By the way, can we talk about in retrospect how smart it was that Bergevin never traded those guys? Anyway, nice. It works. It was close to not working, but it worked. Anyway, so Adrian Dater asked Nathan MacKinnon this question. And it was when you play Scramble and you just kind of dump out all the bits and all the letters and there just seems to be a pile of just incoherent nonsense. And it's skip it up a lot. And there may be one random word that sort of comes out of it and makes sense. That was his question. He swore in it, which is whatever, but it was a complete nonsense question. Nathan MacKinnon's reaction was just what is going on here? And everyone ripped him because of course you were going to get ripped because it was a bad question. Everyone asked bad questions though. So Pete Blackburn, who is I'd say you can't say the actual word, but he's that kind of guy that stirs the pot, right? So he posted it on on Twitter. He's a really funny guy, Pete Blackburn, by the way. And Adrian Dater just went full out. I'm gonna get the thread up now.
The Brad Marchand of Twitter.
And it's funny enough because he is a Bruins fan. He is also very short and he's a big fan of Cole Caulfield. So Pete Blackburn. While I get it up though, guys, give me your thoughts on Colorado and the way they basically played in those last few games, and how Nathan MacKinnon has lost the title of best player in the world. Because he has.
That was fast.
Well, yeah, keep going back and forth on that.
Daniel,
I swear, less than a month ago, we had an episode that said MacKinnon was greater than McDavid.
I'm pretty sure we did. Less than a month, yeah.
I feel I definitely pushed that, but we won't talk about that. Delete the tape on that, please.
Delete the tape. Daniel, go ahead.
Yeah, for me, it was really disappointing that I normally... with me, I normally go for the underdogs with things, but it's just the way Colorado's been built throughout the years that, for me, when I think about Tampa and what they've gone through, I thought Colorado was already on that same trajectory where they've built the team that they needed. They know their core. They know the supporting players. They finally got goaltending, and they had that big meltdown last year with Dallas. That's something that they could learn from. And what did they do in the offseason? They got Brandon Saad and they got Devon Taves. And for me now, I just don't know what the excuse would be. It's a lot of people would say, it's because Kadri really affected that depth. But the way that team was deep, how deep that team was, and the way they've been able to deal with injuries the last 2 years, I really feel like there was no excuses this time where the way Colorado performed. And now I think this year would have been their prime opportunity to really go for it, because we don't know what they're going to do now in the expansion draft, whether or not they're going to protect someone, whether or not they're going to do the, I'll give you these assets to not touch this person now. And it's just going to be it's going to be uncertain. They're still going to do really well, but when Nathan McKinnon said, "I haven't won SHIT in 9 years," I felt that. I really felt that this is a guy that has been really patient with the team. He's gone through like the Matt Duchene dilemma. He's gone through like Ryan O'Reilly not wanting to be there. He's gone through Paul Stastny. He's like, I'm taking more money in St. Louis, and he's still stuck through it. And now we finally see like he's frustrated. He wants to win.
Don't you just love it when a player actually sees what's wrong and it's like, yeah, I haven't done anything. Accountability is a hell of a thing, isn't it? So I actually have the audio here from the Dater question if you want me to play it. We might have to censor the part when he says F it, but I can play that, then I can read the rest of the thread if you want. Sure, go ahead. Okay, right. Cool. So here is Nathan. He just check out the YouTube portion if you want to see the clip of it. This is great stuff. Okay, screen share. Okay. Doopity doop.
Dave, I know you're a gamer and all this, and I'm just thinking maybe out loud as far as in your shoes right now. It's like, all right, we've done all the thinking we can do, we've done all the game planning we can do. Maybe just we'll just go in next year and just not think anymore and just win this thing when we don't think so much. Is that good? Am I on the right path at all with this? Like maybe this guys think a little too much.
No. Last one here for Nathan. Non-specters.
The way McKinnon he's really like, was I just asked that question? So here's the thread. So Pete just puts a video up and just says LMAO, right? Then Data responds by saying, okay, thanks, tweet for the lesson in online decorum. And then Pete responds with like,
we'll do it live.
Yeah, we'll do it live. And he says, I mean, your question was literally this. Then Dater goes back to him and says, fair enough, just talking like hockey people talk. Sorry if it's too sensitive for your ears. Then Pete says, yeah, you're right. Nate seemed to get it. And then Dater goes back at him again and says, you're right, Pete. I forgot you're the best beat writer in hockey. Oh, wait. Just forgot you've never been a beat writer, never covered a team day to day. Now, gentlemen, I have watched a lot of media conferences in my day. I think we all have. I have never seen any beat writers ever ask that sort of question in that sort of way. Like, people stumble over their words. It happens all the time, right? That's the way it is. We do it on the show all the time.
Happens once an episode.
I'm not gonna lie to you. That segment, it has given me confidence to never be afraid in media scrums again to formulate my question. That used to be my biggest fear when it's like, okay, who is the next question? And then I would be on the spot. I don't know. This has I have no fear.
Well, the big problem is if you just keep the question short and simple, it's good. But what Adrian, it's that famous Michael Scott thing, right? Of like, I'm going to start it, but he has no idea how he's going to finish the question. And it was like a snowball falling down. It just kept going and going. It was just.
Because I wasn't entirely sure what the question was. So like.
The gamer part really confused me. Like, it's like, you're just going to go for it. Like.
So are you going to win next year?
Yeah, I mean, I hope. Is that? I don't know what the right answer is for that question, other than I hope.
I really feel for the guy, but again, it's just like you can't win with the whole Twitter stuff. You can't.
No. He has a reputation, apparently.
Yeah.
Too. So he's not. We don't like poking fun of media, but. Adrian Dater is maybe not a guy you give the benefit of the doubt to, kind of like Jeremy Roenick.
Yeah.
Anyway, you talk about what's next for Colorado, by the way. I have up here some of their notable RFAs and UFAs. No offense, I don't care about their fourth line center. I don't. So these are their notable RFAs. Tyson Jost, who I wouldn't be surprised if he's traded because it feels like there is always talk about that. And Cale Makar, who is a Norris Trophy finalist. That's pretty good. Meanwhile, there are notable UFAs. Carl Soderberg, who seems to just always be there somehow.
Yeah, he came back.
Yeah, it's like when Vanek always got moved to the deadline. It's like, yeah, so does Carl Soderberg, and it's always to Colorado. Brandon Saad, and the big one is their captain, Gabriel Landeskog. You can throw Pierre-Edouard Bellemare if you want, but...
And Philip Grubauer.
Yes. Oh, and
money
the
right there.
moment I complimented him about the way he tracks the puck, he turned into a pumpkin. It was not great.
We should stop complimenting people on this this show. And it is really backfiring a
Mark
lot.
Stone is the best player in the NHL. Forget about offensive talent. It's all about the shutdown ability. You don't need the fastest skater. You're the takeaway monster of the league. Mark Stone is going to be an amazing player versus the Montreal Canadiens. I can just feel it right now.
Let's see what happens.
I sure hope so. I think the big question is, if Landeskog comes back, I think that strikes out the possibility of Brandon Saad coming.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Kale McCarr is in this weird scenario because at the same time, there are two very notable offensive defensemen who are also up this year, a.k.a. Quentin Hughes and Miro Heiskanen.
All from the same. No. This Heiskanen and McCarr, same draft.
But all very, because Hughes was from the Kotkaniemi section of college.
Yeah.
I didn't even mention the first overall pick in Deline there. It's Buffalo, how you doing? Anyway, there's a lot of questions with Colorado. That's a lot of money. Like, I think they have, it's $19.7 million in projected. I stole this because I knew Alex was going to mention it. So I'm like, I got to get the projected cap room up there. You could imagine, like, if it's a shorter term deal, it's still going to be around $6 million of that to McCarr. Could you see Landeskog getting $7 million? I could. He's pretty important. And then there's quick math, about $6 million, $5 million left in there for everyone else. Yeah, they needed to win, guys. It was the all-in year. This was it. They got Taves before the season started. They got Brandon Saad for nothing, by the way. They still their first, which is pretty funny. But this was the best year they were going to have for a little bit.
And they're going to lose a piece to Seattle unless they spend assets, which I can't see Joe Sakic doing.
And in that conversation about money, again, I forgot Philip Grubauer.
Like on paper, they've drafted so well that they're gonna be able to replenish the depth, but it's not gonna be like to the same extent where you have these guys who have made it before, these guys that have gone far, like Belmar or a Brandon Saad. And like for me, that's gonna help maybe in the future and in terms of the current cap situation, but it's not gonna help them to take that step forward where they really feel that, you know, the way this team is built, you have to go for it every year.
They're going to win the division next year. They're going to win the Central. Like, that's not a question. It's just, it's Vegas's conference now. We talked about it. The Western Conference belongs to the Vegas Golden Knights now.
And until the Wild rise again.
Sure. You can throw it in there. I mean, great. Like, who else is in there in the Pacific that's going to be much of a mess? It's Vegas and
Edmonton.
Yeah, they realigned everything, right?
If Edmonton decide to do something.
Yeah, Edmonton. I mean, like, think about it. Like, if you think of the West, it's like St. Louis aren't the same anymore.
Yeah.
The Kings are still not going to be contenders next year. If they're a little better, you wouldn't be surprised. But the Ducks are a question mark in every facet of life except the goaltending. I don't know. It's still like Colorado still have an open field. It's just they're going to look mostly the same next year. I think it's just you had the luxury to maybe, and I don't know, maybe this whole thing of taking less will come into effect for the rest of the team, but we'll see.
Yeah, you're kind of right, Adam. Like, it's Vegas, Colorado in the West, and then like in the Pacific, it's going to be Vegas, Vancouver, Seattle, San Jose, Los Angeles, Edmonton, Calgary, Anaheim.
Say that again. Like, list the whole Western Conference.
All right, so it's going to be in the Pacific. It's going to be Vegas, Vancouver, Seal, San Jose, Los Angeles, Edmonton.
One at a time. Let's go one at a time. Okay.
Okay.
So Vegas,
okay, Vancouver.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, Vancouver. Great.
Seattle.
Who knows, but we'll be safe and say not great.
San Jose.
Bad.
Los Angeles.
On the up, but still bad.
Edmonton.
on the up and up, but they need a supporting cast and they can't fix, and they're probably going to lose a defenseman. Whatever, they'll make the playoffs maybe, but they won't do anything, as we saw against the Jets.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of bad.
Yeah. Calgary.
Bad.
Anaheim. Bad.
Bad.
Yeah. Okay, so for the Central, it's Winnipeg,
Who are bad.
St. Louis,
Who just got swept by Colorado like it was nothing.
Nashville,
Who are questionable bad too. Who knows what they are. Their centermen aren't getting any better. So mediocre. We'll say St. Louis and think you're mediocre.
okay, Minnesota.
Okay.
Yeah,
They could win second in the Central. I can see that. Okay.
probably. Dallas.
Oh, getting older, man. Bishop and Kadobin are old and injury prone. Jamie Benn isn't a contributor anymore. Sagan, who knows how good he is anymore. Radulov's getting older, but if they won a divisional spot, I could see it, but they're not a threat as the other guys are anymore.
Mm-hmm.
They've taken a lot this year. I think they've taken a lot of damage.
All right, Colorado.
Good. They're good.
Yeah.
Not the best, but they're good.
And then Chicago.
On the up and up. They're the same as LA. They're on the up and up, but Duncan Keith's another year older.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows what's up with Jonathan Taves?
Yeah, I really hope he's okay.
And what's their defense?
Um,
What's
Slater
Adam
Cuckoo.
Bogfist? now?
Adam Boquist,
It's like
Nikolai
how-
Baudin.
Yeah, what are Baudin and Bogfist like now? I still say they're in better straits than some other team. They're mediocre. I could kind of look at. They're not bad. But see, who did we say was definitely good? It's Minnesota.
Oh, we forgot one more. The
Arizona,
last team in the Central, because they got moved for Seattle, is Arizona.
who are bad. There's 3 good teams in the West, and then they're all crap or mediocre. So they're gonna make it. So let's be honest. There's a real chance that the Avalanche have a free walk to the conference finals. But this is the problem they face now. Is we already knew the regular season didn't mean anything. Colorado are now at the point where the first 2 rounds don't matter. They're now Washington. That's where they are now.
No, is the NHL basketball now?
I mean,
Which is the flip. It's the flip because this year, 3 out of the more than half of the teams who are in the second round have never won a championship in the NBA.
it doesn't look great, man. It doesn't look great.